Alright, good afternoon. Welcome back, or welcome to any new visitors. Just going to have a nice little short video now. Clearly I'm still in England at the moment. We're going to have a little chat about insulation. Something like this. Anyway, let's head into the old summer house here. We'll have a quick chat about some insulation options. See if anybody's got any ideas. Come on. Yeah, welcome to any new visitors. If you need to get an understanding of what on earth I'm talking about, check out the playlist. There's a few videos there and some introduction and what we've been doing. Do a bit of a catch up. Okay, so I'm still in England, obviously. Not at the cottage. Been doing a few jobs around the house here. Loads of gardening work. Clean up this bloody dog poo. Yuck. Clearing some willow trees that we had to trim back earlier this year. A big pile of it in the garden. Got it all bagged up. I need to get it off down to a bonfire still at the moment. Don't know how I'm going to do that. Strap it onto a wheelbarrow or something. Anyway, what am I going on about? So yeah, I'm in England. I'm planning to go back very soon. Got to do that roof on the barn. The one that blew off in the storm earlier this year. Get that replaced. Just planning out the materials at the moment and some dates and times. Probably going to drive over. Take some tools with me that I might need. Maybe do a bit of footage. See if I get over there without any hiccups. So yeah, this video, it's going to be short and sweet. Hopefully spark up a bit of a conversation about insulation. Conversation about insulation. I like that one. Maybe I'll use that as a title, eh? Right. Several options. We're going to frame the internal cottage, but it's what type of frame we use and what type of insulation we use. So let's get an idea of what we're working with. 200-year-old cottage constructed out of stones. Externally, the cottage is rendered, but that is a cement render. Well, I think it is anyway. Pretty sure it is. So it can't breathe externally with that sort of modern cement. If it was lime rendered, then we would know that it should be able to breathe, so long as the paintwork on the outside that was a lime wash of some sort. But I think this is cement render, and it's got I'm sure it's had loads of that weather shield on it as well, that Dulux weather shield, because there's loads of tubs of that around, empty tubs. So there's no way those stones are going to breathe. So that's one thing we've got to consider. The next is, what is it based on that? The fact that it's cement rendered and we can't breathe externally. Does that impact the insulation type that we can use? So what are the framing options we've got? So two really, to frame the internal walls that face externally. We could use a treated timber or steel framework, which I believe is galvanised steel, if I'm correct in thinking. And then we put an insulation within that framework. So what options have we got for that insulation? We've got a breathable insulation like mineral wool or some kind of fibre wool. The mineral wool is the flexible type stuff, which is earth wool or rock wool or something like that. And then the fibre wool will be something like a hemp wool, which is more of a rigid, solid based insulation wool. And then we have PIR, which is polysacchariate or something like that, which is the sort of foam based insulation with the silver foil backing on either side. I have a preference, and that's based on what I know and what I understand, but I'm not an expert. I've never worked with these old stone buildings before. So if you have, get involved, get commenting, give us some ideas, any knowledge you've got around it. Let's get a talk going about this insulation and the options that we have. So the mineral wool, the earth wool or the rock wool, I see a lot. I don't see many pros with this. Obviously the one pro is that they're a breathable insulation. The cottons that I see is that they're flexible and collapsible, or from what I know anyway, and there's a tendency that they could, once they're inserted into your framework, that they can collapse and start falling downwards with gravity, creating voids, no longer insulated. Has anybody got any experience with that? Because I've read some information about this, and this can happen. And then obviously, as mentioned, the plus side is that it's breathable. But with our construction, if we're leaving that cement render on the outside, is that suitable if we just create some kind of air void flow between the stone internally and the timber framing? Is that type of breathable insulation suitable in that scenario? Not sure. The fibre insulation, like the hemp, which is more rigid, that seems a better option to me because it's rigid and you've got less chance of that sagging and falling within the timber framework. Again, it's a breathable insulation. But again, do we need that based on the construction of the stone and the cement render outside and creating an air void? I don't know. My preferred option is the PIR board. It's a non-breathable solution. It's very rigid and could be sealed within that framework very well. And the option of the timber framework, to me, is the better solution. Primarily because I feel it's more rigid and you can construct it a lot more easily and create rigid points. For instance, when we plan out the kitchen, we know where the wall units are and the base units are, and we can create some really solid, rigid fixing points for those units. The steel framework, I'm just not convinced about in its rigidity, and with any moisture. What's the impact in that type of material that over years? Obviously, timber has a failure point as well. We can use treated timber, but there will be a failure point if there's any moisture. But that would be years down the line. But I do like the timber construction, can do a lot more with it. I like working with wood. Maybe that's just my preferential choice. So they're the options we've got. I've knocked up a little crazy bit of stonework just to explain it a bit further, just in case you're not really getting what I'm talking about. I do find it hard sometimes to convey the information, but we'll head outside and I'll show you my option and how that will work, and explain that a little bit further. Come on. Right, here's my poor attempt. I need to put some tools away here. Ignore those posts at the back. That's me dumping rubbish in the garden again from a job that I've been doing. Right, can we zoom out here a little bit? No, that's in. Right, zoomed out. It's a bit sunny, so I'm not sure we're going to get a lot of this, but I can't see it on screen very well. Here's my little stone wall construction, stuck together with mastic. Don't worry, I won't be repairing the stonework over in Ireland like that. Right, let's get an understanding of what's going on here. So let's imagine this is one of our external stone walls for the cottage. All stone built with lime mortar, something like that. And it can breathe. Moisture comes in this side. Let's say this is outside. Moisture creeps up here and it soaks through. It breathes externally and the moisture's evaporated out. It doesn't constantly stay within the walls. And the same internally as well. So that's our stone wall. But what we've got is a cement render on the outside. That can no longer breathe this side. It's also got years and years and years of that blooming Dulux or whatever it is, weather shield stuff on there. So there's no way that air can pass through that cement render on the outside. So what we want to do, or what I think is the best option, is build a timber stub work. Create an air void between the exposed stone inside. Create air vents through the wall, several of those at the front, a couple at the back where the wall's exposed. I know we've got that adjoining extension, but there's some exposed walls at the back that we can utilise and put some vents in, allowing air to come in behind the timber stub work, up the walls, over the eaves of the roof, down the back, and flow over the entire building. So here's our timber stud work. Here's our PIR board, which fits in there. And then on the front of that PIR board, we'd line the timber with a moisture barrier. Now, it won't be loads of black plastic bags, but you get what I mean. That goes on there. And then the plasterboard's lined on the front. Then we'll either skin plaster it or tape and joint it, whatever. Probably skin plaster, gypsum plaster. We don't need to breathe. We'll put a moisture barrier. For me, screwing it up. Our moisture barrier there, that prevents any moisture getting internally into the building this side. Now, this air vent through the original stonework allows fresh air to come in, collect any moisture into the air and flow around the building. So that maintains any moisture build-up that comes into the walls from the ground and into that cavity as such. So that's my preferred option. I know that's a pretty rough setup, but you get the idea now. It must make some sense, surely. Right, we're back inside now. Weather's not too great out there at the moment, but that particular setup that we're talking about there with the timber framework, the PIR insulation and the moisture barrier, plastic sheeting, plasterboard, is very similar to how I built this summer house last year. I know this works, but I'm not dealing with a wet old 200-year-old cottage built of stone. I think that's the best solution. What do you think? Let us know. We've got plenty of time to think about this to come up with the best solution, because obviously I'm heading back soon to do the roof on that barn. So let's spark up a conversation. Please do interact. Like I said, if you've got any experience at all in this area, get in touch. Just got some general ideas, you're DIYer, you've worked on stone cottages, or you're a professional, let us know. And we'll look into it, spark up a conversation, and it'll give us a way forward with the best solution. Thank you. Right, I need to crack on with some work here and earn some pennies. Been working on a few sash windows here. I like working on sash windows, but majority of the time, oh my gosh, they're just rotten to the core. Sometimes you think you may as well just replace them, but these old Georgian and Victorian windows over here in England, they're really nice. In the same fashion that a lot of these sash windows are in a lot of these old cottages in Ireland as well. They're lovely things. So if you can save them, I say. Best to have original, lovely. But if you can't save them, you know, there's plenty of good modern alternatives built out of timber with modern weighting systems and so forth, and spring systems. But yeah, I've got a few of them jobs going on, so that's good. That'll keep me going for a little while. But yeah, get them pennies coming in, get myself booked into a ferry, take the little car over, take some decent tools and get that roof done on the barn. Alright, so as mentioned, if you are new, get yourself subscribed. I'll let you know when I'm heading over. Maybe I'll do a bit of a footage, see if I get over there safely without any hiccups. And then we'll see me cracking on with this barn roof. And also, maybe, if I've got the setup right, I'm still on my phone with a camera at the moment, get some live footage of me fumbling about with a roof when I'm there. Right, thank you. Don't forget those thumbs up. Need to wash my hands. And subscribe if you're not subscribed. There's going to be links around here somewhere, maybe. I don't know. They come up at the end, I think. Who knows? Click the buttons, whatever it is. Cheers.